It's time now for the award-winning #1 local talk show in Northeast Pennsylvania, The Sam Lesante Show. Now here's your host, Sam Lesante.
You know, my friends, I remember back in 2012, I had a problem. I had a problem with Luzerne County. The problem was changing the form of government, from the county commissioners to the home rule county management. I just thought it'd be a political situation, and I remember my good friend Rick Morelli and I would go at it in the most professional way to see, is this going to be a good thing for the county? I wasn't really in favor at the time, but Rick Morelli said, Sam, this is the way it's going to do wonders for the county. Well, it started in 2012, and we had a county manager, and then 2016, Dave Pedri takes over as county manager. And Dave has been coming on the show through sponsorship with Luzerne County 3-4 times a year, giving us an update. It's like, folks, it's very difficult for all of you to go to the courthouse and sit in Dave's office and listen to a lot of things that we're doing. And so that's why Dave comes on the show. Dave, nice to see you.
Sam, thank you so much for having me on. Every time I'm on, people say they saw me on here, and Sam beat you up pretty good, but
that's right.
I keep coming back.
That's right. You're lucky you have your good mom and dad. I mean, the good people, okay? I said I wasn't for it. I think we discussed this before because I thought it would turn political. Now, at least you have a county council that, are working together. Yeah, you have a couple people that still have some political things in their mind, but all in all, I think you have a good council board, okay?
Without a doubt. I mean, Sam, but don't forget where we were. 2008 was the Kiss for Cash scandal. We were on the front page of every paper across the nation. It was a whole different world here in Luzerne County. So that's why I think the voters decided to move that form of government out and the new one in.
Well, it worked, okay? I mean, it's working. So let's take over. Let's look at there's a lot of strange things that happened the past 2 years, and we hope they will never happen again. But how is the county now working with this pandemic situation?
Sure. Listen, 2020 took everybody by surprise, Sam. I think every single person in the nation was shocked by this pandemic and had to adjust. Us at the county, we had to do the same exact thing because we provide services every single day to over 320,000 people who live in Luzerne County. The entire state of Rhode Island fits within Luzerne County, so we still have to provide those services. Luzerne County government employees overall can't take a day off. So how do we do this for the pandemic? We got through the pandemic. We're at the point right now where we're talking about, are we at the point for vaccines? And are people getting the vaccines that want them? Are they getting out to the public where they need to be there? We changed almost everything that we do here at the county, even to the point that you may never have to go to the courthouse if you don't want to again. The Luzerne County Courthouse in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania is a once-in-a-lifetime building, a beautiful building. But almost everything that you can do there, you can now do online because of the pandemic.
Wow. Now, that eliminates you except going to court.
Obviously, when you go to court, you go to court, you're going to have to be there. The judge is going to want to see it.
Yeah.
But if you want to pay your bills, you can do it online. We schedule appointments now if you want to get a gun permit. We do everything for all of our permitting issues on top of that. You can file documents at the courthouse online as well. Everything will be online if people want to be able to get there. The courthouse is still open for business. We're still there. I'm there every day. But if people want to stay home and take care of their business, that's the way to go about doing it.
When this thing happened, I know that thank God there was some relief with the PPPs, okay?
Sure.
And that really saved a lot of people, okay? I mean, the restaurants got hit terribly hard. A lot of service industry got hit hard. But now, because of different stimulus bills, there's a lot of grant funding that is available. Let's talk about the different funding that's available and how do you apply and who is qualified.
There's an incredible amount of grants out there right now, Sam, and there's going to be more coming in the next couple of months. In September of 2020, we found out that Luzerne County was granted $28.6 million for grants. We immediately turned that around and gave it back to the people. We gave $11 million to small businesses. We gave $5 million to municipalities. We gave a couple $1 million to school districts. All that money was distributed across Luzerne County. And if anybody in the county watching this wants to see where all that money went to, go on the website, luzernecounty.org. You'll see where every single dime of public dollars are spent. That's something that we always try to be, is transparent. Now we're at this point in the pandemic, there's going to be more grant funding that's just coming out. We just received over $3.5 million for our small businesses. That's for our restaurants, our hotels, and our bars. And you are completely correct. Those three industries got hit some of the hardest of anybody across the entire nation. And that grant has now been closed. That funding will be going out in the next couple of weeks, but there's even more grants coming out after that.
What are they?
Here's one, a landlord-tenant. If there is a tenant out there who wasn't able to pay their rent because of COVID, and they meet certain requirements on their income level, they can get their entire year rent paid from this grant. You can go to luzernecounty.org if you're a tenant or a landlord and get all the information you need. We have over $20 million in that account and able to give that out to people from there.
What if you're a business and you're leasing from, you have a property, but you're leasing that property?
Unfortunately, this specific set of funding is only for residential homeowners.
Okay, nothing for business.
Nothing for business at this point. But as you know, the Congress and has just signed into law by President Biden, the American Rescue Plan was into play. Luzerne County was given notice that there's $114 million in funding coming to Luzerne County from that bill. That's an incredible amount of money, and we're waiting on the guidelines from the federal authorities to do that. But one thing that we will do, Sam, is once we find out exactly what we can do with that money, that's going back out to the people. We need to make sure that the businesses are open, that were here before the pandemic. We want to make sure that they're here after the pandemic. We want to make sure that all these small employers are still going to keep coming back. I mean, think about like the waitresses and the bus boys. That's how we help our economy, one little step at a time.
Dave, the only thing I see, first of all, I think it's great that we get grant money. Grant, not loan money. Okay, the word is grant. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when I've seen different applications for grants, I mean, they ask you everything, including, giving you firstborn, okay? So I'm not saying that you should not meet certain qualifications, but I think sometimes they go way above the call of duty because, first of all, you need the money to survive. Now, I'm all for the needy, not the greedy, all right? There's some people out there, unfortunately, who are unscrupulous people who want to, gouge where they shouldn't be gouging. But the point is, these applications, instead of going to an attorney or a lawyer or accountant, etc., can they be filled out by the average person?
Listen, it depends on every single grant, and every single grant is a little different than other ones as well. Listen, I'd be the first to tell you, listen, I'm a government bureaucrat, Sam, and I understand government bureaucracy even for myself. I'm like, this is nuts. But if the federal authorities say this is what the form that has to be done, and these are the steps that have to be done, if the state authorities say this is the step that has to be done, Mr. Pedri, guess what? Those are the steps.
Yeah, I know.
And we follow along with it, and I know it's frustrating. I know we're asked for so much information, but at the end of the day, if I can help somebody with it, we're going to go about doing it.
Folks, I'm talking to Dave Pedri. He is the county manager, Luzerne County manager, took over in 2016. You want to talk about transparency? Well, a lot of people, politicians, talk about it. Luzerne County is transparent. You, as he said, go to the website. Everything is there. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to the Sam Lesante Show, folks. 24/7, SSPTV.com, SSPTV.com. All of our shows are there, our neighborhood programs we produce, over 21 of them. YouTube channel, folks, in case you don't have cable, which you should. Tell your friends. We can be seen all over the world. I have a lot of friends of mine who are in Italy who watch our show, and they can do the translation, Dave, and it's amazing. They'll send me, I saw you on television, you doing okay. I'm talking to Dave Pedri. He is the Luzerne County manager.
I don't know if we get a lot of people from Italy from my show, Sam.
Italy, I have people from, one person who moved here is in Australia.
Wow.
And another person is in Poland. Another person is in Greece. It's like, I mean, friends that, I went to
That's
school with
great.
or said, but anyway. We're talking about Luzerne County, and once again, Dave, you're providing an opportunity for people to see what's going on. So let's talk about, we talked, there are grants available,
Sure.
okay? Now, we talked about the tenants, if they're having trouble paying your bills.
Correct.
Okay. And there's some more coming down the pipe.
Correct. There'll be some more for small businesses. That would be the next goal. Be the tenants from there to make sure they pay their bills. And then there's going to be a whole another slew coming up for infrastructure. So we're talking about roads. We're talking about bridges. We're talking about the infamous Pennsylvania pothole. And if we get this infrastructure money into play, then we want to really fix something. I would like to fix a road completely, and not just throw a coal patch in a road if possible.
Dave, I was involved with the community college for many, many years.
Sure.
I saw a lot of politics being played there, and we were able to survive it. And when you have good people that are willing to exchange ideas and not personal things, and agree to disagree in a professional manner. I agree to disagree with Mike DeCosmo election night. We
Right.
have a great time, okay? And we have the greatest respect for each other. And so same thing with Morelli and the people we have on. I found that when you are able to work with people and don't have an agenda,
Right.
that's the problem. And I'm getting to a point here. You have been so transparent.
I appreciate that.
And you've taken the county in a great direction.
Thank you, Sam.
I see that as a businessman myself, and it's not because it's Dave Pedri, okay? Continuing on doing that and keeping the transparency and the budgets. How do we look for our budgets? How do we look for our taxes? Because this is where the average person, they have enough on their plate now.
When the rubber hits the road at this point. Here's why I always say, listen, here's where we are in Luzerne County at this point. We're in Act 2 of this government. Act 1 was the crisis, okay? We were $460 million in debt. We had an overblown workforce. We're doing a bunch of different things. We had all these different areas across the entire county. We weren't addressing the needs we probably should have. Now we brought that government size down. We're at the point where I'm the only county manager in the state that brags about being under $250 million in debt. I mean, in the space of 8 years, just over 9 years, we've paid off over $200 million worth of debt. And we've been able to keep that debt the same every single year. And we've had the highest credit rating actually now in Luzerne County history. Luzerne County in 2021 was able to pass a no tax increase budget. It's my third no tax increase budget as county manager. It's not something that you do lightly to ask people to pay more, pay more for taxes. So if it's an absolute burden, it absolutely has to be done. I think the council has to make that decision because it comes down to customer service. But you do it as a last gasp effort. And we've been able to deliver 3 no tax increase budgets the last couple of years.
Management, proper management, like any business, okay? And that's where I see where you were able to accomplish those things because there was proper management. And there's nothing else to say other than if you have bad management, then you have all these kind of problems. The other thing is accountability.
Sure.
You're a nice person, but in the same token, you're a businessman. And I think all the people that are, under you have to be accountable for what they're doing. Am I correct in saying that?
Listen, it's a 1,400 person corporation. 1,400 people work for Luzerne County, and there's over 32 separate departments in Luzerne County. Each of those individuals have to maintain a certain level of standard. I always tell every new orientation class that comes in, to the person who you're dealing with at that time, you are the living embodiment of Luzerne County government. Okay, when they're talking to you, Sam, you are SSPTV. So if that person is rude to them, is short to them, then you're putting a mark on every single Luzerne County employee. And I hope that carries forward in what we do on a daily basis, because it really comes down to customer service. You never lose sight of the fact that you're for the taxpayer. You're here for the taxpayer because of the taxpayer. And listen, Sam, I appreciate you saying that, but a lot of the credit as well goes to our county council. 2012, they made some tough decisions. Every single day, these 11 members of county council come to work, and they do a good job in their side of things. Our government set up like a CEO board of directors type relationship, and we have to work together.
This is what I'm saying. I'm saying when you have a council that has only one good purpose in mind. Sure, I had a board of trustees, and we agreed to disagree. We had a couple people who were political. And those political people were the poison that we didn't need to have. We wanted to hear, I don't agree with you, but able to discuss things in a professional manner,
Sure.
like lawyers do when they're
Right.
presenting their cases. Okay, these lawyers don't hate each other; they just do their job.
Right.
Okay, and they respect each other for what they're doing, and I applaud lawyers for that. And I think that's what that's what I was concerned about in 2012. Is this going to turn into a wild city council craziness or school board when you don't have good people? Look what's happening in our area today. We have a good city council, Hazelton. We have a good school board. At least what I'm seeing. I mean, yeah, there's some, but they're all working together. Our city Hazelton council is doing fabulous as far as I'm concerned.
I think it's a matter of, does everybody want, at the end of the day, we're going to have different approaches to get to the end game, but we all have the same end game in place. And that's to help our citizens, to be there for people, to keep taxes reasonable, to help Luzerne County, to help the school.
I have people who watch the show. If people have questions, I mean, like when we're discussing things, oh, geez, I wish Sammy would have asked him this question. Well, I try to ask the common question. The average worker is going out there, and first of all, how can our citizens help in Luzerne County? What are some of the common questions or concerns that they have that you see, and how are you addressing them? Some of those areas.
Sure. Well, the first thing is we're always looking for volunteers. Okay, so we always need assistance. If somebody says, "Hey, listen, I want to get involved," and you talk about it being political in the past. Luzerne County, to get on some of these boards and commissions in Luzerne County in the past, you had to know somebody, you had to be something. Now, all you need to do to work in Luzerne County, to be on one of these boards, authority boards and commission, is put in an application. You're going to get an interview. You're going to be sit down with the Luzerne County Council. They're going to go everything you have. And great boards like the Arena Authority, Children and Youth Advisory Board, Mental Health Advisory Board, the Election Board, the Luzerne County Community College Boards of Trustees. All these things are appointed by the Luzerne County Council. You'll find that application once again on the Luzerne County website, luzernecounty.org. And if you want to be involved in your community, this is a great way to do it.
David, we have so much great talent out there that, people who have retired at young ages that, that did extremely well in their lives, in their business, that they could bring so much value if they would take advantage of it. But the point is, hopefully the council will look at these people,
Sure.
not as Sam Lesante, a Democrat or Republican, or Sam or Jimmy. Look at them as what they have to offer. And I'm sure you'll get great people.
Yeah, I'll tell you the truth is that we have seen some great people involved in so many different our board. Our Flood Protection Authority was just put together. I mean, all these different authorities are now put together. If people want to be out there, we need your service. We want you to be involved. Please take the opportunity.
9/11 projects.
Yeah, we have a big one going on right now, Sam. We're changing out our entire 911 project from an analog system to a digital system. Now, what this is going to mean is nobody has analog phones anymore. Okay, we all have digital phones. It's going to mean better service. I heard horror stories from our police officers and our fire departments about bleed over, about different channels getting caught up. And we're talking about 911, you're talking about minutes, you're talking about seconds that are going to change everything. We're changing our entire project out to a brand new system, and we're looking forward to it. That'll be going live in 2022.
The show I really enjoyed was when the girls were down.
Yeah.
When the girls did their show down on 9/11, and I'm sure when you're all set, they should do another show.
Yeah,
like
that was so nice of them to come down.
So I'm a little disappointed. So that phone I have that goes, I have to get rid of that phone now. I mean, I can see 911. I mean,
listen, it takes two. Just text now. You could actually, and for people out there, you can text to 911 too. You can text to 911 exactly what's going on. We get over 1,000 texts a year to 911 now.
Is that right? So
yeah.
You just go 911.
911 and put in exactly what's going on. They'll coordinate your
So if you see an accident that happens, you can say hit 911.
911.
Okay, accident here on Route 309
Correct.
or whatever. Wow.
And then 911 will immediately respond to you. That's what Luzerne County employees do.
That's
every single
fantastic.
Day. It does it, and let's be honest. Yeah. I mean, I know you talk on the phone, I talk on the phone, but a lot of people text more than anything else.
Yeah, and many lives could be saved that way.
Just quick.
Particularly when you witness an accident and it's a terrible one, and you hit 911. I think that's great. We come back, folks. I'm talking to Dave Pedri. Comes on a couple times a year, and talks about what's happening in our county. Any questions you have? SSPTV.com, send them to me, or go to their website. It's luzernecounty.org. Right? We'll be back right after this. Thanks for coming back, folks. Sam Lesante Show. I want to personally thank those of you who see my wife or I out maybe going to the grocery store, coming up and thanking us about running the Mass every weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, and we run the Rosary 5 times. And a lot of you are really appreciative, and we really appreciate doing that for you. Also, our other programming, I appreciate the comments. Sam at ssptv.com. My guest today is Dave Pedri. He is the Luzerne County Manager, was appointed 2016. So we have this thing coming up called election.
Oh.
You know, you made national news. Okay, let's hope you're not going to make national news
Sam,
again.
I feel like we just got done with the last election. But every 6 months, these things can pop back up, right?
Yeah.
So the last election, obviously 2020 election, there was a national issue. I mean, obviously we brought more voters out than ever before in Luzerne County. Luzerne County came out to vote en masse. President Trump won by over 22,000 votes here in Luzerne County. But most importantly, people were involved. People wanted to vote. People were getting out there and doing that. So we're going to take a lot of the lessons we learned from that November 2020 election and apply them to elections going forward. May 18th is the next one. Mail-in ballots are still the law here in Pennsylvania, so you do have the right to vote via mail if you so choose. And you can always show up at the polls. The polls will be open on May 18th. We are going back out to the polls all across Luzerne County. In Hazleton, we're moving District 1 and 2 into Lackawanna College Hayden Building on Wyoming Street and Broad Street for anybody who wants to be there as well. But go to the website. You'll check to where you want to go out and vote. Most importantly, we're hoping people get out to vote, Sam.
Okay, well, there's always been concerns, with the mail fraud, et cetera, and I'm hoping that we are going to have a safe, honest election with mail-ins.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so in the last election, we have over 55,000 people vote via mail. November of the 2020 election, 55,000 people vote via mail. Now, listen, the pandemic has changed things. So in the May election, as of today, we only have about 19,000 people who want to vote via mail. Now, it's not the presidential election. Maybe there's not a bunch of races, but it is an option for people if they want to vote by mail. It's an option. People want to vote by mail. It's right there. It's secure. It's safe. And if you don't want to vote by mail, then you can go out to the polls as well.
Okay, voting by mail, what do you have to do to make sure it's going to be properly counted?
When you get your ballot in the mail, you fill out your ballot, you place it in the secrecy envelope. There's a secrecy envelope that comes with it. It's basically a white envelope. You place that secrecy envelope, you seal that, you put it in the outside envelope that comes with it, you seal that, fill out the back, drop in the mail, and you're there. Okay. There's also going to be 4 drop boxes throughout the entire county. Actually, 5 drop boxes, hopefully. There's going to be in Hazleton City Hall. There's going to be in Pittston Library, Nanticoke City Hall, at the Penn Place building where our election bureau is in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and one in the back mountain in Dallas Township, hopefully.
Now, who picks them up?
A sheriff will be picking them up every single day. Those mail-in drop boxes are under lock and key, and they're under surveillance 24 hours a day.
They are.
But every single day, a sheriff will be driving through and picking them up.
So they're under surveillance 24 hours a day?
Correct. We're only looking for places that have a camera on them all the time.
Okay, which is fantastic. So if you're dropping it off, there's not going to be shenanigans. Because you hear all those kind of
things. Yeah, listen, Sam, honestly, we hear the stories. You hear a lot of the stories. I hear this or this. But, the only election fraud case that came out of Luzerne County in the 2020 election was an individual out of 40 Fort who registered his dead mother to try to vote for the president. And, that was one guy. We had over 55,000 people who voted via mail and did it correctly and did it honestly.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I was in Philadelphia a while ago and had to bring my dog to Penn Vet for a checkup, and the person out there who was in charge of different things, he had the mask on, and he saw my local News 13 on my car, and he said, this was a fantastic election, wasn't it? I said, yes, it was. He said, now, this is what he said to me. He said, buddy, he said, I voted. I said, well, that's good. And he said, well, let me tell you, I went to vote. He said, and when I went down there, as a black person, he said, I saw my 2 friends voted. He said, right there, my 2 friends voted. I said, well, that's great. He says, they're dead.
Listen, I'm not talking about Philadelphia, Sam. I'm talking about Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
But you see, and so when I didn't want to say that, and so he said they're dead. So was the guy kidding me? Was he lying? I didn't ask for the volunteer.
Sure,
Okay.
yeah.
He was upset with the mask and other stuff like that, and he told me that he had. So when he saw that, he changed his vote to vote for somebody else, president. And I said, well, I'm just you mentioned about. I'm hoping that person who did that got
he was
caught.
He was arrested by the district attorney's office.
So there you go. So I'm hoping that was the case. Okay, but how does those things happen? Is the things that you always want to question. And here again, Dave, I don't care if it's a Democrat or Republican.
Absolutely.
It could be the reverse. So right away you're picking on. I'm not picking on anybody. It could happen. So you got a good election coming up.
We got a good election coming up May 18th. Get out there and vote. And if anybody has any other issues, you'll find me on the website.
Website's very important, folks. It's your taxes. He's holding the taxes. Dave Pedri has been there. It's an open book, transparency. Once again, Dave, applauding all of your workers in Luzerne County. It's a tough task, but they've been doing great. And,
I'm lucky to work with some of the best, Sam. Thank you very much.
Give the best to your mom and dad and your
will.
family. The kids are all right?
Everybody's causing trouble, Sam. They're fine.
Well, first of all, I understand you're a coach.
I have major control issues, so I'm a little league coach and a soccer coach.
There goes our little league team right down the tubes, folks. Okay, we used to have good coaches, then they get this guy. Could you imagine that?
Listen, I talk a big game.
Hold that up here.
I don't know anything about baseball, but I talk big game.
Well, I wish you the best. Okay, it's a lot of fun, isn't it, with the kids?
I'm so blessed. Sam.
Yeah, good. Folks, remember 24/7 ssptv.com. Any questions? Any comments? Email me. See you next time.